This is going to be a demo of drawing a portrait or a head. I'm going to be using this image. It's not copyrighted. I found it on Google. I'll be using my 4B pencil, some stumps, 8B pencil, white vinyl eraser, kneaded eraser, chamois, sandpaper pad, kneaded eraser, and some sharpeners. Okay. So the first thing you want to do is draw an egg-like shape for the head. And you might notice that what I like to do before I put down my pencil is warm my hand up by kind of skating around. So that actually prepares me for drawing this circle and kind of helps me warm up without having to put down multiple lines. So I highly recommend that. And you'll notice me doing that too when I shade something and I'm not sure, or I just want to feel it out first. I really want to study what I'm looking at. I might just kind of study it and then put something down. So anyway, this egg shape has to relate to the person's face. This person does not have an exact egg shape, almost nobody does. They're a little bit wider at the bottom. So you want to kind of widen the bottom of this face, match it to the facial shape, the head shape. And one mistake is I need to look at the entire head and not just where the hairline ends. So I'm going to kind of try to draw that in. And so I've got kind of my egg shape. And I draw very lightly when I begin. You'll notice that in my other demos as well. And that's because this is just a preliminary part of the drawing and often is erased or not really in there, not really noticeable. It's there somewhere. Okay, so I think I've widened the face enough. I want to widen it a little more, just to kind of get a good sense of this person's face. And after what I do next, I'll be able to kind of see if it's symmetrical. So I want to draw a line down the middle. Try to make sure that line's okay. And a line down the middle this way too. So see if your parts are equal. Okay, my parts are roughly pretty equal. So after you've divided it in two, then you can look again at your facial shape and just kind of see if it really seems to match or if you have to do some things to maybe alter it a little bit. Because you'll be able to kind of compare the quadrants and see if they can match up. Okay, so now, and actually this middle line, there's like a couple lines here. Which one is the real line? All right, so now that I have this divided, I'm going to take a line out from the top and from the bottom and a line straight down. And the reason why I'm doing this is I want to divide this head into 3.5 parts, equal parts. And this can kind of be tricky. And I know that there's a part here above the eye line a little bit because it's for the eyebrow. I know there's a part somewhere down for the nose, and then there's a part here for the top of the hairline. So I'm going to measure those 1, 2, 3.5. So it should be 1, 2, 3.5. So draw this very lightly on your paper. I drew it darker so you could see it, but you want to be able to erase this later. You don't really want this as a part of your permanent drawing, I don't think. It's so easy to make your proportions off. And I'm not going to complete this portrait for you totally. What I'm going to do is, what I'm doing is I'm going to try to get you set up so your proportions are right, so that when you fill in the parts, and I've done a demo of an eye, nose, and mouth, so when you start filling in those parts, you'll know where to put them. All right, so this, I brought a line out from the top of this line, and this line, all the way into my portrait. And that's because I want to know, this one represents the top of the hairline. This represents the brow line. You can bring it all the way across because your brow's over there. This is going to represent the base of the nose, right here. And then what I can do is I want to figure out where my eyes are. And your head is 5 eyes wide. Now sometimes it looks like it cuts in a little bit in the sides, and that's because of your temple, and it does cut in a little bit. So, but it is 5 eyes wide, so I want to make, if I can, 5 equal divisions, and this can be tricky. And you also want it to be symmetrical on, like from the middle line, like this should be equal to this, right? This is equal to this. So I'm trying to make that symmetrical. So let's try to do this. 5 eyes wide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you don't have to number them on top like I did. I'm just doing it to show you, but and if you do number it, please number it lightly so that you can erase this. So I noticed something. I noticed that this space in between is much bigger than that little guy. And so I'm just going to erase this out and try to widen that a little bit. It means this guy's gonna come in a little bit more. And getting these measurements right is really important, as I said. So, does that look right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, that looks about right. Okay, so try to make sure it's symmetrical. Look at that middle line. This is equal to this. This is equal to this, is equal to this, this, and this. You could take a ruler if you wanted to, if you're really concerned. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is divide, and this is going to be for your eyes. Actually, let's draw in. I'm just going to erase the numbers here so I can draw in some features. All right, just draw in a little almond shape for that eye temporarily. Just so you know sort of where those are. Doesn't have to reflect at all the person's eye. You're just doing this temporarily to get a location. And then the next thing I want to do is to take from the base of my nose and divide from my base of my nose to my chin into 3 equal parts. So you want to measure those 3 parts. 1, 2, 3. Maybe this needs to go. Okay, so it should be 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 equal parts. And I'm just gonna make sure they're really equal. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And of course, I know I'm doing a lot of measurements, and it's not a very natural way to do a portrait, but as you do more portraits, you're not going to have to necessarily do these all the time. You'll just know that they're in place, so when something looks off, you'll be able to say, oh, that line represents that, that must be off. I can do my 1, 2, 3 measurements and figure out where things are. I can do my 5 eyes wide measurements and be able to figure out what stuff is wrong, or my 3.5 measurements. Okay, what do these 3 measurements represent here? Well, the first line is very important. That's your mouth. So I'm going to draw that out, and you'll see how that sort of becomes a mouth. The second one is for the ball of the chin. It's for the chin. It's from the top of the chin to the bottom of the chin. I'm going to draw a ball shape there. Oh, sorry, an egg shape. It's more of an egg. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is figure out kind of where my pupil would be. So if I had like an iris in here somewhere, and my pupil was somewhere in the middle, I would draw a line straight down as if someone was crying, and that's where the end of the mouth is. It's a common mistake that people get wrong is they make the end of the mouth much smaller and the eyes much bigger. That's why the 5 eyes wide thing is so important, so your eyes don't get too big, and this measurement is really important so that your mouth doesn't get too small. Now this is the absolute extent of the mouth. This is not like the fleshy part of the lips. And if you remember from my mouth demo, that kind of bird shape, it extends beyond the fleshy part of the lips. So that's the end of the bird shape over here and here. All right, so now we have our eyes coming down. And, you know, I want to make sure that this person's face is really this wide because it will change your eye spacing quite a bit. And I'm just looking, and yeah, I think it's okay. It's a wide face. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do is draw a triangle for the nose. And the nose can be thinner or wider. You could try to draw a line straight down from the inside of the eye because typically the nose lines up with the inside of the eye, but it can extend a little bit beyond. The nose is one of the most variable parts of the face. So I'm going to make my triangle. And then now that I have my triangle, I can kind of wrap it up around the brow. This is the brow, eyebrow. So this can wrap up around and figure out kind of where my brow bone is. It kind of wraps around to the eye. So that just gives you an idea of where the eyebrow is going to be and how it relates to the eye. There's going to be shading in this area here, so that'll help me figure out where the shading is on the sides. Okay, so now I have where my eyebrows are. I have nose, chin, mouth area, and I'm going to kind of start putting in the hair line. A little bit. Just putting this hairline. Okay, and so that's kind of where the hairline is. This is for the top part of the hair. And then I'm going to try to figure out a little bit where this, I know we did 5 eyes wide here, but you have a temple, and the temple curves in, and then your cheekbones come out a little bit of that from that. So there's a curvature here. Where it wraps in and comes out. All right, ears. Where are the ears? Well, this person unfortunately has hair covering her ears. I can show you. Can't see her ears, but I can show you where her ears would be. They would start from across from the eye, going down, and they would end somewhere between the nose and the mouth. So this is a totally variable measurement. People have different size ears. So they start at the eye line, and they usually end somewhere between the nose and the mouth. I can make those symmetrical, even though people may not have symmetrical ears, by drawing a line across if I want. So that's approximately where her ears would be. And the next thing I'm going to do is figure out her jawline. So the jaw changes shape. It's somewhere around the top of her chin here, at this top of the ball, or oval. And her jaw turns in, it comes around, and then it turns in at this area. It has a relationship actually to the mouth. Starting to see that this looks like a demented puppet of some sort. That's just how it's going to look. So I'm trying to figure out where the jaw changes here. And changes, by that I mean fuller kind of face here, and then turns direction, like arcs in a little bit to meet this oval here somewhere. And I think her face is definitely a little too wide. So I'm going to bring her face in, which it's better to know this now rather than later. Try to fix that temple here. Temple connects to your skull. And thin her face a little bit. Just trying to get a little bit of shape in here. She has a little bit of a curve. Goes in a little bit, so it goes in a little bit, and it curves. All right, so you've got the basic idea of where things are now. She has hair that comes around here. Her hair actually goes over her ears. So this is her hair. Her hair comes out. Where's her neck? Now her neck, if I line it up to the corner of her eye, comes out about there. The other side, about the same thing, about the corner of the eye. And that's about where her neck is. All right, then she has some hair falling back here. That looks about right. All right, I think that's about it for the basics. Start building out the V-ball of the nose, right? You can then bring your nostrils out from there. You can also work on your lips. So she has the bird shape. Her mouth is open. Working on the expression lines a little bit around the mouth. All right. So I'm looking for the mouth. It's kind of hard to figure this out, how to draw the ends of the mouth. I'm looking for the negative space shape in here. Got my nose. Now know, something that people often get wrong is trying to figure out like how high to make the nostrils. And you could compare this to something else, like the corner of the eye, and make an angle or something to figure out where that nostril is. I'm going to figure out the angle from the tip of the nose. So I think it goes something like this, and that means the nostril needs to come up higher. Oops, that nostril just got a little too curvy. Means that V shape probably needs to go up a little higher. I'm drawing a line across to see if it's symmetrical. Can work on the eye. Now, we can work on this eye shape a little bit more. The whole eyeball lives in here. So, right. And then the shape needs to taper down a lot. Eye's looking a little wide. And now this eye definitely looks wider than the other one. And I also forgot to draw my eyeball within there so I could figure out kind of where this tear duct is. This side needs to go down more. Alright, and she has, of course, brown eyes. Can't really see the people. Should probably have left some marks for highlights in there because she has highlights, so it's best to leave the marks first rather than having to erase them afterwards. So let's try to figure out where those highlights are. The eyes look a little different. Alright, I could keep working on that, and I probably will, but I could show you this is where her eyebrow goes. Her eyebrow lives from here to approximately here, wrapping around her brow bone. This is where it lives. Here to approximately there. Can erase out these circles. You can erase out any of these other details so you don't need like the lines that you used to make the stuff. And you can start shading with this stuff. I'm going to chamois and try to erase some of this darker circle. Probably can just erase the circle. The oval's there to give structure. And I can see that I've kind of lost a little structure here. Just using a dirty stump to add some value to the base. So I made some lines on the lips, and you'll see that they're still, and I left some areas white. stump could use some sharpening. All right. I'm not going to have time to totally finish this demo for you because it would take hours. So, but hopefully you should get some sort of an idea of how to proceed with your drawing. Using a chamois to soften up all the stuff I did in the face, the shading. There's going to be more shading underneath the face here and over here. And the upper lip a little bit. This area, on this area. Cleaning one side of the stump so I can use it to blend softer areas that are not quite as dark. A little bit of an expression line over there.